Welcome to the Crossview Commons, a brand new podcast focusing on the ministries, ministry partners, and the people of Crossview Church. My name is Mark Lanting, and it's my pleasure to share with you what God is doing in and through Crossview Church in DeKalb, Illinois. And today it's my pleasure to bring in a special guest, Erin Andrews from We Care Pregnancy Center. Did I say that right?
You did.
All
Hi,
right. Yeah,
how are
I want
you?
to make sure I get the ministry correct. Welcome. Yeah, I'm great. It's really good to have you here. You are, in fact, our first kind of outside Crossview, but with Crossview guests.
Oh,
so
wow.
first, better way of saying it is first ministry partner.
Okay.
So there are other coming, but you are very brave. So
Well, thank you. That's an honor. Thank you.
it's an honor to have you here. As we were talking before recording, I was reflecting on having met you. You came here and did a brief presentation at that on We Care on a Sunday morning for both of our services. And then I heard you speak at the We Care dinner that happened a couple months ago. It doesn't seem that
November,
long. November.
actually,
Okay,
yeah.
I guess it was a little
Yeah.
while ago. But anyway, I've really been impressed with the ministry. I know your predecessor and have been a supporter.
Yes.
And I'm just curious to hear more about you in that role and who you are. So let's start with that. Erin, I think you have kids. I think you're married. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've been married for 26 years to my husband, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 boys, one who's in college in Florida. He's enjoying the warm weather.
Nice.
And then I have a 16-year-old at DeKalb High School and an 8-year-old. And actually, we adopted our 8-year-old a couple years ago.
Wow.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Very
yeah.
cool. It's not ready to stop just yet, huh?
Well, it was not really a planned thing. He's actually my biological nephew.
Oh, wow.
And so
Yeah.
my brother lost his parental rights and just is really dealing with a lot of life issues. And so we, of course, took my now son in and adopted him. had the opportunity to adopt him a couple of years ago. So, yeah, if you would have asked me 3 years ago if I wanted to start over, if I thought I would start over, I would have said no,
Yeah.
of course not. But, yeah, that's just part of God's plan. So.
Well, and it kind of fits who you are in your role. You are the executive director at We Care. And how long have you been there?
I've actually been there about 11 months.
All right, so still pretty new.
Yep,
not
still
even
pretty
through
new.
the first cycle of
Right, exactly.
the year. And I'm guessing there are probably some rhythms and
Yes, there are,
ebbs and
absolutely.
flows, but I'm guessing there are also surprises and
Every day.
different kinds of things. So can you share a little bit about how you came to your role? How did you decide to pursue that? Is this something that you'd thought about for a long time?
Yeah, no, actually, this was totally a God thing. I really wasn't looking for a job. I was a social worker and fairly content in that position, and someone approached me about this executive director position. So I looked into it, talked to a couple people, prayed about it, and just said, yeah, actually, this is a really good fit for me. So if God's going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. And sure enough, he gave it to me, and I was super excited. It's really like a dream job for me, honestly, because I have always been a supporter of pro-life and really wanted to make sure that I've had some experiences in not my life, but in others' lives that have kind of dealt with some of that. And so I have a heart for people and helping people. I've always worked with people and nonprofit organizations. So it really is a dream job. I love it.
That's
I love
great.
it.
So I didn't realize you had a social work background.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I have a church background, worked in a church for a while, worked
Sure.
at the YMCA, and then I was a social worker at Salvation Army
Yeah.
previously. Yeah.
So clearly you're going for jobs where there's the big money, right?
Oh, clearly. Yes, yes.
Much like me, you're
Yes.
looking for opportunities to serve people and to serve
Exactly.
them well with the gifts
Yep.
God has given you. And
Yes.
that's just an awesome addition to the work of his church.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So tell me, what does an executive director at We Care do? And I know that's a big question,
Yeah.
but if you could give us some highlights, do you probably supervise some people? You
Yeah,
probably-
we have. I do. I supervise the 4 staff that we have,
okay.
but I just the overall operations, daily operations. Of course, that's a team effort. I don't do all of that. But a huge part of my job is fundraising and being kind of the face out in the community and just really trying to get the word out that who we are and what we do, and collaborating with other organizations and collaborating with churches, and our partnership with churches is so important. My staff they're awesome. We have 4 staff who love Jesus, and they love these women and men and families that we work with, and they really actually make my job pretty easy, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But we have a great staff team. I mean, really, we just support each other, and we're like a family. And I know that was before I got there, that was established, but I really feel like that has continued on with me there.
Yeah, I imagine a strong rapport with that team
Yeah.
is essential.
Yep, it sure is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And can you tell me what kind of roles do your staff play?
So we have, this is kind of a funny, one of our other full-time staff, I call her the meow director. Her job has changed a little bit since I came on, but she basically does almost a lot of things: marketing, events, a little bit of office, and then like the website kind of stuff. So I joke and call her the meow director. And then we have a client services director. She also deals with clients, volunteers, anything that has to do with the clients and when they come in, those kinds of things. We have a nurse manager. She does all the medical things that happen at the clinic. And then we have an outreach coordinator, and she takes care of all of those things, the informed choices, which I'll talk about here in a minute, but that we do in the high schools. She's on NIU campus and Kish campus, and possibly goes out to churches if they want her to do things with their youth group.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lean team, but doing really good things.
Oh, they're all rock stars. They're awesome.
Yeah.
They do a lot. They're great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned volunteers. Do you have a pretty strong, bench strength? Are there a lot of people stepping up?
Yeah, we of course we can always use volunteers, but our volunteer base is solid. They do a pretty intense training for 6 weeks, and then they have to shadow the client advocates, the ones who deal with the clients. They have to shadow others for a good 6 months before they're even on their own, so to speak. So the client advocates really have a lot of training. We don't just throw anybody in there to talk to clients. It's hard. They hear a lot of hard stories, and so their heart has to really be to love women and love on those women. So, and then we have other opportunities for volunteering too. We have Hannah's Closet and things, and they don't have as contact with the clients, but they still love what they do and do a great job.
That's really cool. Well, why don't we you mentioned Hannah's Closet and a couple of other things, and why don't we flesh out some of those different facets of the ministry? Just, let's start with Hannah's Closet. What is that? How does that work?
So Hannah's Closet is our baby boutique that's on site, and we have a volunteer team that actually, we take donations, gently used and new, baby clothes up to 2T, maybe a little bit bigger sometimes, and other baby materials, car seats. Well, we really actually don't take car seats, but we take strollers and things like that. But they prep everything, make sure everything's clean. They really take a lot of time to make sure. And then Hannah's Closet is used actually for our Earn While You Learn program, which is like our parenting and life skills program, where clients, moms, dads can come through and actually take certain courses, like parenting, budgeting, toddler, feeding. I mean, there's a ton of different ones that they can actually take, and then they earn what we call care cash, play money. And then they can go in and they can purchase things. So it's really a hand up, not us handing out anything. These people have earned it. We're not just giving things away. They've earned it, and so I think that really shows, keeps their dignity, that they don't feel like they're not doing anything for it. They really have to earn it. We don't just give it. So
yeah, that's great. Now these modules that they're going for, classes, whatever you call them, are these led by volunteers or your staff?
So it's video based actually by a thing called Bright Course, and so they watch the video, but they are also, the client advocates are in there with them, and it's kind of like a mentoring thing where they do life with them. We try to keep them with the same client advocate throughout the course of when they take these classes, so that they can just get to know them. And that's actually where we really get to see lives transformed. We get to see God work in their lives, and it's pretty neat to hear some of the stories that because they've been with each other. Some folks come and they've been doing the program for a year. Some only maybe do it for a couple months, but they really get to have more of that one-on-one interaction, which is really awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of what you do is really about relationships.
Exactly.
People who are probably somewhat scared, maybe alone, are coming to you, and you're there to, show them who Jesus is in the process, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we really, everything, it's permission-based, but we really try to, if we don't use the words, if we don't share the gospel verbally, we're certainly sharing it with our actions and the things that we do, and just listening and supporting them.
Yeah, it sounds cheesy, but I think the actions are more powerful than words.
I agree.
And then, the because comes out naturally, right?
Exactly.
So I frequently reference Jesus' conversation with a woman at the well.
Yes.
It's a completely natural conversation, caring conversation that led to real relationship and real care.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
It's
one
of my favorite.
Yep.
I think I've referenced it twice on this podcast.
Yeah,
already.
no, it's great. It's a really good reference. Absolutely.
That's super cool. Let's talk about a couple other things that you do. I follow you all on social networking on Facebook, and I think maybe somewhere else. I don't know. But recently I saw a table, I think it was at one of the colleges.
It was probably at NIU at their involvement fair. Yeah, so we have an outreach coordinator, as I said before, and her responsibility is actually to try to host tables at NIU and Kish once a month. Just to get the word out to students what we offer, what our programs and services are at We Care, but also being able to have those one-on-one conversations with students and just maybe have the opportunity to better educate them on just the potential risks of being sexually active. And she tries to do it in a very good way. We have a wheel that they spin and then they ask questions, and some of them are kind of funny, and some are just like, oh wow, we didn't realize that, and again, it just gives us an opportunity to really just share with them. And sometimes it doesn't matter. We hand out free pregnancy tests, and a lot of times they're just grabbing those, but it still gives us an opportunity to plant a seed, if nothing else, and really just talk about what does a healthy relationship look like, and here's our resources. And we have a resource card actually that we try to hand out that has really important phone numbers on it besides We Care, but it has like domestic violence, suicide number, all those things that they can just stick that in their wallet, and then and of course our number's on there too, but just things that they need to be aware of, and just gives us another opportunity to just touch their life, even if it's just in a little way. So
I love that. It was fun reading that post. Whoever wrote it was highlighting the number of conversations that took place, the kinds of conversations. The word sex came up a lot.
Oh, yes, it does. It does.
But that's, I have to think, these young adults that you're meeting have a lot of questions, a lot of maybe misunderstandings.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of it, is just kind of trying to, like some of the questions that they're asking is, what's the effectiveness of a condom? And they're shocked to see that it's not very effective. Or STIs, some of them don't have, they don't realize that they have them. Or, if I have been sexually active with one partner, that really means I've been sexually active with 10 partners. I don't know the exact number, but point is, they're just like, I didn't think about it that way. And it's, again, just putting those little bits of information in their heads, and just maybe that will get them to think more. And sometimes it really leads to some great conversations that we can have. And if someone's going through an unplanned pregnancy, then they know what our services are, and they can come and see us if they want. We're there to help them and be there for them, for sure.
Yeah, what a great context. So you're at both Kish and NIU on a fairly regular basis.
She tries to get there once a month, tables once a month. And then we have a student organization through NIU. It's not real big right now. We have a couple students involved, but those students help with those tables. So it's student-to-student interaction, peer-to-peer interaction, and then the outreach coordinator, of course, is there too. So,
wow, that's great.
Yeah, we're just going to continue to try to grow that, and, again, just host tables and be visible so that people can see us at NIU. and Kish.
Yeah, right. You mentioned high schools too. Do you have some inroads? How's that going?
Yeah, so we actually do a presentation called Informed Choices at, we're in 6 high schools now in DeKalb, Ogle, and Kane counties. So we're kind of all around. And basically, it's a 2-day presentation. If the school will allow us to come in, it's usually done it is done during health classes, and they just again talk a lot about what does it look like to have a healthy relationship, what is the characteristics of a healthy relationship, what here's the risks if you're risks now, and then potential consequences, long-term consequences like being pregnant and having to choose, those kinds of things. And they do it in a really age-appropriate manner, and do some fun interactions with kids so that they're listening and not someone's just not sitting there lecturing them. And we're actually I believe before COVID we were in more schools, and then COVID hit, and of course everything kind of shut down.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to get back into some of the schools. But we also make sure we have conversations with nurses and counselors in all the high schools so that they have all of our information, so that if a student comes to them, they can refer them to us if they want. And we've had that happen actually this year a few times.
All
so
right.
We're excited that we're not excited about the part that the students are coming to us in a sense, but we're happy that they're coming to us and not
referred.
going somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, that's good. It seems like you've done a good job striking a good chord in the community, right? And you've built some trust relationships.
Exactly.
I know that doesn't come easy, and it's probably not going to be 100%.
Right. No, unfortunately, it's not. But we just, even if we just get one student to come to us, that's a win right there, because we have an opportunity to touch their life and just give them good information and be there for them.
That's really cool. So let's think about the pregnancy center itself. I know you have sort of wraparound services for someone who is perhaps pregnant, not sure, but finds out she is pregnant. And can you just kind of walk us through that person's journey, and what's it like for that woman coming into your clinic, walking through the door, and what's the process like?
Sure. So they would come in, schedule an appointment, although we do have walk-ins too periodically, but they would schedule an appointment to actually have a pregnancy test that we do on site. Kind of like when you walk into a doctor's office, they have to fill out some paperwork. Everything that we do is of no cost. So it doesn't matter whether they have insurance or not. We don't ask for any of that. Nothing. There's no charge involved at all. And they would come in and take a pregnancy test, and then the client advocate and nurses would actually meet with them and go over the pregnancy test, whether it's positive or negative, and then actually talk about their 3 options: parenting, adoption, and abortion. We do go through factual things about abortion. We do not refer or perform abortions, obviously, but we do want to be factual because they can make that choice. And then if they are within a certain timeline, usually it's around 7 to 13 weeks, then we can, if their test is positive, we can also do an ultrasound, limited ultrasound. And then that also is there to verify the pregnancy, the viability of pregnancy, but also that's a huge tool to use so that they can actually see that this is a living being, and they can see the heartbeat, depending on how far along, depends on what they can actually see in the ultrasound. But oftentimes, if someone comes in and they're more abortion-minded, that actually will change their mind, because they just are like, oh my goodness, wow. And we always encourage them to bring their partner. We are really trying hard to get the men more involved, because we know men have a key role in this. They should have a key role in this decision. The world's telling them that they don't have it. But we are really encouraging the men to be involved, the partner to be involved, and in many ways, not just obviously that decision, but from then on, if they're choosing parenting, we want them to be involved in that, of course. It just makes that a better family unit, for sure. So after that's decided, or after they've done the ultrasound, then they have to make the decision. And we always say, all 3 of these options are hard. If you're a parent, parenting isn't hard. If you choose adoption, we know parenting is hard. I'm sorry. If you choose adoption, that's going to be hard. If you choose abortion, that's going to be hard, whether you think it is or not. There's going to be a lot of things that you have to deal with after that. And so we always say you have to make that hard decision, and that has to be theirs, of course. But we're going to be here to support you, whatever you decide. And if they choose parenting, then of course we have the Earn While You Learn program,
Right.
Hannah's Closet, and we can help them, walk them through that. If they choose adoption, we can refer them to adoption agency. We don't do adoptions, but we can refer them. Unfortunately, if they would choose abortion, we are still going to be there afterwards because most likely they're going to struggle. And we will definitely be there to help them through that too. So we're there. We love these women and we love these families, and whatever happens, we want to be there for them. And again, however God decides to use us, that's what we're going to do.
That's all great. So let's say a woman comes in and decides ultimately she wants to have the baby but cannot care for the child. Have you gone through that before, where adoption is a choice, and what's that like?
So we don't. Since I've been there, we have not done an adoption. I think there's been a few, but that's a very small amount. Like that's not as common as the parenting is. But what we would do is we would refer them. We have a couple adoption agencies that we would refer them to, and then they would just take care of the rest of that. If they want to meet at We Care, then it's a safe place. They can meet there with the adoption agency, but we really don't have any other involvement in it than that.
Okay. And then for the young, or not necessarily the woman who chooses to go to term and to keep the baby and to parents, do you maintain relationships with them?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, we sure do. And that's again where we get to see a lot of that transformation in lives, because if they're in our Earn While You Learn program, we have that contact with them twice a month at least. And just recently, not recently, but actually, when I was at the Salvation Army, I had a client who came in and I referred them to We Care.
Sure.
And then I came to We Care.
Nice.
And so I actually got to see her go through before pregnancy. And I mean, she's had a rough life. She's really drug addiction, sex trafficking. I mean, like just all these things that I could never personally imagine what that would even be like. And now she has a little baby, and she comes in and we love seeing her, and she will say, and actually she came in one time and it just put us all in tears, because she said to her little baby, who's 3 months old, I think, just said, these are the ladies that saved your life and my life. And just that transformation in her, really from that drug addiction, and now she's clean, and just seeing, and it's not just transformed her, but she lives with her brother, and we've seen that transformation in her brother. And I've met him a couple times. When he would come in, he would just say, yeah, she just seeing what's happened with her and what you guys have done with her, now and it's changed him. And he would admit that it's changed him. And so, again, God's going to do amazing things. It's an amazing ministry, and we hear a lot of hard stories, but man, when things like that happen and you just go, oh, thank you, Lord, your hand is in all of this, this is all you. So
That's exactly what we were hoping to hear about. I know not every story is a happy ending,
right,
and
it's
that
not,
there are
unfortunately.
a lot of people you work with who are in some of life's most difficult situations. Right. You mentioned drug addiction, trafficking, right, and then there's a pregnancy along with other stresses, what poverty, right? Food scarcity, housing issues. I'm sure you see it all, right?
Yeah, really, we do. And like I said, a lot of the stories that we hear are things, again, that I personally can't even imagine going through, but that's why we're here. Again, these are volunteers and staff. We just love these women, and we want to set them up for success. And so we're going to do whatever we possibly can to make that happen. And again, God's hand is in all of it. You can see it every day when we have these conversations with these women. So it's awesome.
Right. So do you find yourself energized? I mean, how do you keep going?
Well, I don't have as much interaction with the clients as the volunteers do, so we definitely start our days by praying, because that's so important. And then, we want to give them an opportunity, our volunteers, to debrief and kind of decompress before they leave, because, again, they're hearing some pretty hard stuff, staff too. So we will spend some time kind of talking out what happened. And but I would guarantee if you were to talk to one of our volunteers, they would say, within all the yucky stuff of life and the brokenness of this world, that they see light in those conversations, and they see God working through We Care in most of these women's lives, probably all of them in one way or another, even if it's just little tiny bits of light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, or just some good things, positive things that are happening. Every time they walk in our door, we know, hey, that's a win right there because we have them here.
That's good.
So
yeah. So you have to take good care of your people and your volunteers,
right? Exactly.
And help them process through
exactly
challenging things and celebrate the successes,
exactly,
the wins, I guess,
yep.
right? Yeah,
yep, absolutely.
Right. That's cool. Well, let me ask, how can people help? You come to Crossview, and I know you're networked in with a lot of the churches in our region. Is there a need for volunteers, financial gifts?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, prayer is a big one. If people can cover us in prayer, that one's huge for us. So we love it when people pray for us. Safety, the funding to come in, safety for our clients, wisdom, all those things. But then, of course, financial support is very important. We're 100%. We run 100% by donors, like their donations. Every once in a while, we'll get a grant if there's something out there, and we apply for it and we get it. But we don't get any kind of government funding. So generous donors like Crossview and partners, church partners, that really is how we function. And so if someone would like to support us financially, they can go on our website, wecarepregnancyclinic.org. And up in the right-hand corner, there's a button that says Donate, and they can click on that, and then it gives them the information of how they can do that. We also have fundraisers, of course. We do Change for Life, where they can fill up bottles. In churches, we do that in churches, local churches, put their change in bottles, and that helps. We have Walk for Life, which is actually happening. This year we are doing a little bit later. That's happening in June, the beginning of June.
All right.
And you can get pledges for that, and people can donate to that. We always participate in Give DeKalb, which is the beginning of May, I believe. And that actually is a bigger return for our money, because we get a little bit extra from the pot that they have, the extra bonus. And so people can donate to them directly, and then we get funds if they say We Care. Really and then, of course, we have our Circle of Care banquet, which is our big fundraiser where we invite people to come, and then they donate financially. So
they eat really good
and they
food.
eat really good food, and we'll be having that again at the beginning of November at Ferranda's this year, really so we're excited about that.
What about volunteers? If someone wants to, you mentioned both men and women, what's the process to apply for that? So
we do have an application. Actually, what they would do is first just call over at the We Care Clinic, and we'll have a conversation with them, and then depends on what they want to do, what kind of training they do. So if they want to be client advocates, and we do male and female, we want both, of course. Or nurses.
Sure.
They go through a 6-week training, and then again they'll do shadowing and things like that. Hannah's Closet, we're always looking for volunteers for that. They don't have to do quite as much training for that. We also, I know our outreach coordinator would love to have some volunteers help her with some of the presentations that she does at high schools. That one will take a little bit of training, a little extra training.
And you need the right people for some of these roles. It's not just for anyone, right?
Nope. You definitely have to have a heart for women.
And if you're a presenter, you have to be kind of like of that ilk, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of us getting to know the individual that's volunteering, and that's one of the reasons why the trainings can be as long as they are, because that gives us an opportunity to get to know them, make sure that they understand and their heart is in it, because sometimes you might think you want to do it, but then it's maybe not a right fit. So we do have other things, of course. We have the special events that they can come and help with. We have admin kinds of things that people can come and help. If somebody wants to come and do yard work for us when it's spring, summer, they certainly can do that. So there's a lot of different opportunities, and they would just call We Care, and then we would hook them up with the correct person, and they do have to fill in an application just so that we know who they are.
Definitely. Sure. Well, Erin, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. If people want to keep up with We Care, how can we see what's going on?
We do have a Facebook partner page, and again, they would need to request that from us. So if they just want to call, and we can hook them up. and then set them up with that. And then, or they can come and take a tour. We'd love to give people a tour. So again, if you just call the clinic, we're happy to schedule a tour for anybody that wants to come through.
That's really good. Well, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and your ministry better. And thank you all for joining us. Our services are on Sundays at 9 and 10:45, and both are streaming online for both times. For more information on Crossview, visit our website at crossviewefca.com.